The financial reality of Blue Star was a weight more crushing than any gravity-based trap Lin Fan had ever encountered in the Immortal realm. As the weeks passed in their cramped apartment, the pile of instant noodle cups grew, and the digital balance in Lin Fan's bank account dwindled towards zero. Empress Long Yu, once the mistress of the Nine Heavens, stood in front of the refrigerator staring at a single lonely egg. She realized that even an empress could not survive on dignity alone. "Lin Fan," she said, her voice carrying a cold, regal edge that masked her growing anxiety. "This emperor has observed the mortals of this world. They leave their dwellings in the morning and return at dusk with bags of sustenance. They call this work. I require this work." Lin Fan looked up from his laptop, a weary smile tugging at his lips. He knew this day would come. To survive on Blue Star, Long Yu needed more than a stunning face. She needed a legal identity and a resume. The first step was the hardest, translating the life of an immortal empress into a format a human HR department could understand. Long Yu sat at the small wooden table, a pen in hand, staring at a blank sheet of paper labeled Resume. Her first draft was a disaster. Under education, she wrote, 12,000 years of studying the heavenly Tao and the laws of the universe. Under previous experience, she listed Supreme Ruler of the Immortal Realm, Commander of the Celestial Armies, Executioner of 10,000 Demons. Under skills, she simply wrote, World Destruction. Lin Fan sighed, rubbing his temples. Long Yu, if you hand this to a manager, they won't hire you. They'll call the police or a mental hospital. We need to soften it. After hours of negotiation, they settled on a lie. She became a homeschooled literature major with a specialty in ancient philosophy and performance arts. But there was still the issue of the ID card. Without a plastic slip of identity, she was a ghost in the system. Lin Fan had to use his connections and a significant portion of his remaining savings to navigate the murky waters of the local bureaucracy. When the card finally arrived, Long Yue held it as if it were a sacred talisman. For the first time in her existence, her life was defined by a string of numbers and a government seal. The job hunt began in earnest. Long Yu donned a professional suit Lin Fan had bought for her, a sharp black blazer and skirt that made her look like a high-powered CEO. She looked at herself in the mirror, feeling the restrictive fabric. To her, it felt like armor, but without the protective enchantments. Her first few interviews were spectacular failures. In one, the interviewer asked how she handled stress. Long Yue responded by releasing a fraction of her killing intent, causing the man to turn pale and nearly faint as the temperature in the room seemed to drop 20 degrees. In another, she was asked why she wanted the job. Because the Demon Lord says we are out of eggs, she replied, with devastating honesty. However, the darkest turn came during an interview with a small entertainment firm. The manager, a greasy man with wandering eyes, sat behind a mahogany desk and looked at Long Yue not as a candidate, but as a prize. He spoke of unspoken rules and private evening sessions required for a woman of her beauty to succeed in the industry. He reached across the desk, his hand moving toward hers. In the immortal realm, such an insult would have resulted in the immediate annihilation of the man's entire ancestral line. Long Yu's eyes turned into shards of ice. The air in the office began to hum with a dangerous, invisible pressure. The pens on the desk started to rattle. You seek to cultivate a relationship with this emperor, she whispered, her voice like a blade. Luckily, Lin Fan, who had been waiting in the hallway and sensed the spike in her aura, burst into the room. He grabbed Long Yue's arm, pulling her back before she could turn the manager into a smear on the floor. We're leaving, he said firmly, dragging her out as the manager sat frozen in a state of primal terror. Back at the apartment, Long Yue was furious. This world is more corrupt than the demon sex. They do not value talent. They value the flesh. Lin Fan knew he had to find another way. He looked at his computer, then at Long Yue. She was breathtakingly beautiful, possessed a voice that could command the stars, and had the reaction speeds of a literal goddess. Long Yue, he said, a new idea forming. The mortals of this world have a new way to worship. They call it live streaming. You don't have to go to an office. You stay here, behind a screen, and they send you gifts, which we can turn into money. He introduced her to the world of gaming first. He sat her down and started a popular competitive shooter. The goal is to defeat the others, he explained. Long Yu took the mouse and keyboard with a look of disdain. A child's toy. But then, she was killed. A player with the username NoobSlayer99 shot her character and proceeded to perform a teabag maneuver over her digital corpse while shouting insults through the headset. Long Yue's eyes widened. He mocks me? A mortal insect mocks the Empress? Her competitive fire, dormant since her fall from grace, roared to life. She didn't sleep that night. She practiced until her mortal fingers were a blur. With her immortal instincts, she didn't just play the game. She mastered the physics of the digital world. By morning, she was hitting headshots from across the map with a cold, mechanical precision that made other players accuse her of being an AI. "It's time," Lin Fan said. He bought a high-end camera, a professional microphone, and set up a VTuber rig. He suggested she use a digital avatar to hide her identity, but after seeing her on camera, he realized her real face was her greatest weapon. They decided on a royal sister persona, a cold, haughty, and incredibly skilled gamer who looked down on her audience. The debut stream was titled, "The Empress Descends to the Mortal World." For the first 10 minutes, there were only 3 viewers. Then 10. Then 50. Lin Fan worked in the background, using his knowledge as a former web novel writer to brush the algorithm and draw in crowds. The audience was initially drawn by her beauty, but they stayed for her personality. Long Yue didn't beg for likes or follows. She sat there, leaning back in her chair, looking at the chat with genuine boredom. "Why are you all talking?" she asked the chat. "You are noisy. If you wish to watch, be silent. If you wish to support, send your tributes." The chat went wild. "She's so arrogant. I love it. Step on me, Empress. Is she a real person or a 3D model? She's too perfect." GIFs started to fly across the screen. Digital rockets, planes, and fairyland castles exploded in a flurry of pixels. Each one represented real money. Long Yu watched the icons with a raised eyebrow. "Is this a tribute? Very well. I shall continue." She began to play the competitive game she had practiced. She moved with a grace that was impossible for a human. When she was cornered by 4 enemies, she didn't panic. She executed a series of maneuvers so fluid and fast that the commentators in the chat stopped typing. She wiped the entire team in seconds and then looked at the camera. "Mediocre," she said. The stream exploded. Within 2 hours, she had over 10,000 viewers. People began to theorize about her background. She spoke of the Immortal realm and the Demon Lord as if they were part of a complex, original lore she had created for her channel. They thought she was a genius role player. They had no idea she was telling the truth. As the days turned into weeks, the job-hunting arc transitioned into the rise of the Empress anchor. Long Yu's schedule became a routine. She would spend her afternoons cultivating her gaming skills and her evenings holding court over tens of thousands of subjects online. She learned the nuances of the sweet girl style versus the royal sister style. Occasionally, Lin Fan would convince her to wear a different outfit, a traditional hanfu or a modern dress, and the donations would double. She found a strange satisfaction in it. It wasn't the same as ruling a realm, but the worship of the fans provided a shadow of the power she once held. The climax of this transformation came on the day of her first payday. Lin Fan sat her down and opened the banking app on his phone. He pointed to a number that made Long Yue's breath hitch. 15,000 yuan, he said. "After the platform takes its cut, that's more than I used to make in 3 months." Long Yue looked at the numbers. She realized that she had conquered a piece of this world. She wasn't a burden anymore. She looked at the single egg in the refrigerator and then back at Lin Fan. "Order the fried chicken," she commanded, her voice regaining its full imperial authority. "And get the one with the golden seasoning. This emperor has earned it." But the success brought new challenges. Other streamers grew jealous. Large agencies began to send contract offers that were little more than gilded cages. Even more concerning were the stalker fans who tried to find her real-world location. One evening, while Lin Fan was out buying groceries, a man appeared at their door. He was a Wales supporter who had sent thousands of dollars in gifts and believed that bought him a piece of Long Yue's life. He was delusional, holding a bouquet of flowers and demanding to see the Empress. Long Yu opened the door, her face a mask of cold indifference. The man began to profess his love, his voice trembling with a creepy obsession. He tried to push his way inside. Long Yu didn't need her cultivation to handle Immortal. She stepped forward, her movement so fast it was a blur. She grabbed the man by the throat and lifted him 2 inches off the ground with a single hand. The strength in her mortal arm, honed by her martial memory, was terrifying. "You think your tributes give you the right to stand in my presence?" she hissed, her eyes glowing with a faint, dangerous light. "I am the Empress. You are a grain of sand. If you ever come near this dwelling again, I will ensure you forget how to breathe." She dropped him. The man scrambled away, his flowers forgotten, his obsession replaced by a bone-deep fear. When Lin Fan returned, he found Long Yue sitting on the sofa, calmly folding a new silk dress she had bought with her own money. "Everything okay?" he asked, noticing the scattered rose petals in the hallway. "A minor pest," she replied without looking up. "I have dealt with it. Also, Lin Fan, we need a better computer. The FPS on the current one is insufficient for my next conquest." Lin Fan laughed, realizing that the Empress hadn't just found a job, she had found a new battlefield. She was no longer just a refugee from the Immortal realm. She was a star of Blue Star, a digital deity who was slowly but surely turning the modern world into her new empire, one headshot and one livestream at a time. The transition was complete. The Empress was no longer surviving, she was reigning.